Tonight we're talking about the next generation of anglers. Our guides will have all the 411 on the fishing clubs, tournaments, and camps that you cater to young anglers. Tonight it's all about kids here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts right now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Jim Ross, filling in for Rick today. Jim, thank you so much for joining us again.
It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. You know, Jim, summer is just flying by, absolutely flying by, and it's a great opportunity to talk about getting the kiddos out on the water before school starts to go back. It's been a little hot, but you know what? I've been seeing a ton of kids on the show, photos, all sorts of things out with their moms, dads.
Lots of snacks, lots of juice boxes, lots of juice pouches. They're happy. And when they get too hot and they get fussy, take them home. Yep,
and you know what? They're making memories. They've got big old smiles on their face. You know all about making memories, don't you?
Yeah.
You absolutely do. All right, well, Dave knows a little bit about getting the kiddos on the water, so let's say hi to him at the workbench. Dave.
Oh, Jim's over there giving away all the secrets right before our thing, you know, but it'll be fine. I've had enough of them out there to know that we can go on and on and on about taking little children fishing.
Exactly. You know what? I'm an adult, and snacks are no secret for anybody.
No.
They keep everybody happy.
I'm right there with you.
They really do. All right, well, starting us off is Matt Reed in the Lower Fresh region, where the kids are getting started on Choke Canyon, Lake Travis, Decker, Bastrop, Somerville, and of course Falcon. Let's get our next generation fishing, Matt.
All right, Brie. You know, I just can't express how important it is to get the kids involved. You know, that's our future. Start them as early as you can, man. But the biggest key when you take a young kid out fishing to where they're going to like it is to have fun and catch something. Don't target largemouth bass or stuff that's hard to catch in the beginning. Get you some earthworms or crickets and a little hook and a bobber and go catch a bunch of bluegill. They just get the biggest kick out of that. And that is the way to get kids started in it, is for them to catch something and have fun. You know, as they get older, they can choose one of the tougher targets, one of the species they want to target, concentrate on and work on that. But up until then, keep them happy catching something. You know, it's always, if they're having fun, they're going to stay with it for generations. I got a couple of pictures there. That's the grandpa moment. That first one, that's my two of my granddaughters when they're younger with a bluegill. They just have a ball catching them off the dock. And that other picture, that's two kids at the Pro Bass Camp for Kids that we do earlier. We do in June. Kurt Dove puts on and we help with. I always love those daylight pictures of those kids. They're so energetic and ready to get after it.
Love it. Absolutely.
Going to move on now. We're going to start talking about largemouth bass. Choke Canyon lake continues to fall. I mean, we're having that issue in South Texas big time. We're in a severe drought. The falling water is causing the grass, the hydrilla, to get shallower each day. There's still a top water bite for about the first hour or two in the morning, and it's been very good. A lot of those fish are 2 and 3 pounders, but there's been a few big ones caught also. The wind definitely helps that bite, helps it last a little longer. After it goes away, the moving bait bite still works on the outside edge of the grass. But after it gets truly hot, Mike says it's slowing down a bunch right now. Said the best option for that afternoon bite is punching through the matted hydrilla with a big weight, Texas rig plastic on braided line. Catch those fish that are under the shade, under the hydrilla. Brian Cotter sent a report from Lake Travis. It's fishing really well right now. There's some fish shallow in the mornings around the trees and rocks in that 5 to 10 foot of water, but they're really near deep water. Throw small, soft plastics to shallow crankbaits and top waters to those fish to get in on the action. There's still a little bit of schooling activity around the marinas. Top waters and swim baits will get those fish to react. Right now, they're not staying up very long, so you have to be on your toes and get it on top of them as soon as they surface. Lake Decker's also fishing well. There's some good ones also biting on top waters early in the morning around the matted hydrilla beds. He says they're chasing dragonflies, so that's you want to concentrate with a small top water to imitate that. Later in the day, you want to get out to the outside edge of the hydrilla, and you throw you a Texas rig there. There's also some schooling fish going on out in the middle of the lake over the deep water. You got to keep your eye open, chase those fish, try to get to them as soon as you see them. Lake Bastrop's fishing really good. There's lots of schooling going on in the discharge in the mornings and later in the day on the main lake. You can throw top waters, walking style or poppers into these schooling fish and get them to bite. Small swim bait also catches them really well. Fayette County's been fair in the shallow mornings early this past week. Swim jigs and bluegill patterns have been the best. You want to work them around the shallow grass. The deep schools have been very consistent out on the main lake. Those fish are in 15 to 20 feet of water. There's a lot of them in the intake there on the rocks at the mouth of the intake, and also the humps on the main lake. Half-ounce shaky heads or Carolina rigs with green pumpkin soft plastics has been the best way to catch them. If they get lazy on you and don't want to bite, pick up a big flutter spoon and see if you can fire them back up, and then you can catch some more on the plastics. Like Somerville bass, it's either been real early in the morning. There's some biting actively early in the morning, but the best bite's been at night with big worms and Colorado bladed spinnerbaits. They're out around just like you'd fish the daytime, around the brush piles, also around the rocky shores. My baby down at Falcon, the bass are still behaving really well. They're deep in the summertime pattern, so concentrate your efforts on rocks and brush piles. Those have been the ticket. Big plastic worms and crankbaits have been the best way to catch you some big ones.
And you've got a couple of photos for us?
I do, and that's two more young men from the kids' camp that have really, they work hard at that camp, concentrate on getting better at bass. That's Weston and Xavier. Had them in my boat for a day during that camp. It's really great to see how good some of the young anglers are becoming.
Well, I tell you, they got a couple of nice ones there when they were out there with you. Oh, yeah. Appreciate it. I'll take your hot spots from here, Matt. Matt says in the FISHBITE region, he says Lake Bastrop is a great place to have some fun. The bass are schooling on the main lake and in the discharge. Topwaters and swim baits thrown into the melee will get you a bunch of action.
On Lake Falcon, Rick's always shaking his head when he sees those photos that come in from Matt Reed, and they were kids, and I'm still shaking my head. Those are some nice fish.
That's some good ones.
He really does. All right, up next is the STARTRON Middle Fresh region with Matt Loescher, who's always getting kids hooked on that first bite that makes his world go round. Right, Matt?
Absolutely, Brie. The kids are just such a joy to have on the boat. I've been really blessed to have some great ones that have fished with me over the years, and I've got a few that I've gotten to watch grow up over the years, and we've shared some great memories on the water. In fact, I'd have to say, out of all the kids that get on my boat, and even including the adults in this group, a lot of the little girls who come fishing with me tend to be some of the best anglers in the group. And Brie, I know you can relate to that yourself, and then of course you have a little one coming up that I'm sure is going to be the same way. So that's awesome. So now a couple of pointers for the folks at home thinking about bringing kids for the first time. It's always best to take them somewhere, of course, their odds of catching are going to be best. I don't want to sound like a broken record you hear. Matt already talked about some of that. So just don't burn them out. Don't drag them out there on the lake for 8 hours, especially like right now when it's super hot or if it's super cold, not catching anything. Keep them comfortable, keep them happy. If the bass you're after aren't jumping in the boat, go find some bluegill or catfish that are ready to bite. You can also hire a guide, consider that option. If you choose that route, though, just make sure you do your homework with the guide. Ask them about bringing the kids. Make sure they're comfortable with bringing a child of whatever age that you plan to bring on the boat. In my experience, 5 years old is a pretty good age to start on like a crappie trip with a guide. You can do younger, certainly. Just like I said, talk to them about it and see. And then for bass fishing, that requires a little more skill. So I'm going to say about 8 or 9 years old is a good age for that. Most guides that I know enjoy spending time teaching the kids. It's our passion to teach and share our fishing experiences with people in general. And of course with kids, it's just all that much more fun because they're like little sponges. They just soak it all up. And it's so fun to watch them learn and have fun. And there's great opportunities for the kids out there, like the camps, the summer camps and stuff. Matt was talking about one. We do a summer camp here at Living the Dream guide service as well here on Toledo Bend. Matter of fact, we're doing it this week, so I'll have some photos of you guys of that coming up next week. We'll showcase what some of the kids did here this week. But till then, here's some photos, some of my favorite ones from this year, of kids with big smiles and big fish. We've got Cooper and Noella there with some nice bass and crappie as well. So great job there, guys. Enjoyed having y'all on the boat.
Awesome. Well, tell us about the bass fishing.
Absolutely. So talking about the largemouth. So, you know, unfortunately the bite has slowed down a lot on some of the lakes lately, but others are still going fairly strong despite the heat. Mr. Thurman Selman with Bass Specialty Guide Service, he reports that it's a lot slower bite on Richland Chambers this week, but he is still managing to catch a few nice ones. He's picked up on a new way to fish that Bass Assassin RSB worm. He's now putting it on his Carolina rig, and that's helping him to entice a few bites. Black and blue has been the best color for that, and he's fishing it super slow. Mr. Thurman always has something figured out, so y'all give him a call. He'll fix you up for a good trip on Richland Chambers. Now, down here at Toledo Bend, the report's about the same as last week. We're still seeing bass grouping up in large schools out deep. Worms and crankbaits are the ticket for catching those. And then there's also a shallow bite to be had, kind of further back in the creeks, on the edge of the creek channels, on little high spots and rough spots toward the back of those creeks. You can catch them on worms and crankbaits as well. You're just going to want to scale back the size a little bit. Now, over at Sam Rayburn, more of the same. The numbers are going down a little bit as far as numbers being caught, but there's still some really nice fish being caught at Rayburn. They've been catching a lot of big ones over there. They're catching most of them out on the points and the ledges, on crankbaits, jigs, and Carolina rigs. And I'm hearing some fish being caught in the grass over there as well. That's mostly a morning deal with topwater baits. So, you know, early you can try for a big one out deep, or maybe go to that grass and maybe get lucky on a big one there too, or for some more numbers you might find there in the grass with the topwater.
Gotcha. And then quickly tell us about the catfish.
Absolutely. So with the slower bite on the bass and the crappie the past few weeks, catfishing is a great option for putting some fish in the boat all day long. You know, Toledo Bend is a great place to do it. We have an incredible amount of catfish. Find them out there in about 15 to 25 feet of water, and you can fish minnows just about a foot off the bottom and catch a bunch of those. So good luck out there with that.
Great report, Matt. I'll take your Rodan Marine System hotspots for the Middle Fresh region from here. Matt says bass are biting best on worms and crankbaits, and the catfish are good on live minnows in 15 to 25 feet of water.
All right, we're keeping the fun alive in the Fish Bites Upper Coast region next, but first, Dave is having some fun over at the workbench for rigs and techniques. Dave, why are you always having so much fun over there?
Oh, I don't know.
Got the fun job.
It is, you know, because I'm lucky. That's why. I'm a very lucky fella. But we're going to be telling the kids, you know, what to use, where to go, how to get that first little fish. You know, that's what we want.
Sounds perfect. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio Sunglasses. Blue light blocking. Radically clear lenses. Garmin. Plot your paradise. Fibertex. Leaders in fiberglass fabrication and repair. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Second page.
And we're at the workbench with Dave. Dave, it's a kids show, and of course there's tons of things that kids can use, but you've kind of narrowed it down to a couple of things that you really like to take the kids fishing with.
I do. Well, you know, first of all, fishing is the great equalizer. You know, it was great for me when I was a kid because I was a little dude. You know, and I moved around a lot. So it was always great for me to, you know, I could fit in because I learned how to fish early. And, you know, I live on the same house that I grew up in. So I have, you know, a dock in the backyard that I feed bluegills right now to this day. I buy super bluegill food and keep them all, you know, bunched up there for when any kid that comes down my dock is going to catch a bluegill. You know, it's automatic. But first off, you know, if we're going to be taking kids fishing, in a boat especially, we need to make sure we know our state's guidelines for boat safety. You know, all kids under 12 should have a life jacket on when the boat's underway. And so, I mean, that's
and
it might change from place to place. Don't quote me on that.
A ski vest.
Yeah.
Not one of those
Yeah, those big orange, the big orange ones, the Coast Guard approved
Get them a
orange
ski vest.
ones.
They're more comfortable.
You know, they're good to have. If that's the only thing you got, make sure they're wearing it. But if not, a nice ski vest is perfect. You zip it up and buckle it in there. It's a lot more comfortable. It's more streamlined. They don't feel like the Michelin man walking around in the boat. Like, you know, we said before, you know, go early in the morning or later in the evening when the sun's, you know, not as high in the sky. Don't go and say, okay, we're going to go and spend all day. You know, go until they get tired of it.
Right.
You know, once they get, you know, get a little, once it was more of a sword fight than a fishing trip. It's time to maybe move on. So
you always want them to want to go back.
Correct.
Not go, golly, I got to sit here for another hour while my dad fishes. It's killing me. You don't want that.
And the way we do that,
you want them to go, I want to go fishing again.
Is make sure that they have some sort of success. You know, the fellows before me said it. You know, make sure you go into that place like My Dock or a boat ramp. You know, places where you know that there are fish there already, and do some chumming. You know, Wonder Bread, any kind of bread is great. And sorry, Mom, the gluten-free bread doesn't work. You need some sticky, gluey bread. White bread, wheat bread doesn't even work. It's too dry to make a good professional bait ball. You need some good doughy bread.
You do.
And you're going to use some little hooks like these. And these are some you know, Aberdeen hooks. Make sure you use a long shank, little gold hook, because if you've got a long shank, it's a lot easier to get that hook out once they go in. You know,
if that'll show up or not.
I don't know. Yeah, there you go. It's a long way away. It's a tiny little hook. They're number 7s.
There we go. They're showing better on my shirt.
Yeah, they're like number 7s, number 8s. You know, even smaller than a crappie hook. And you know, if you use those tiny gold hair hooks, you're gonna catch fish also.
And if a big fish gets on and straightens it, oh well, the big one got away. We can come back next time and try for it.
Right. You know, also you can get, Eagle Claw has panfish kits. This is a catfish kit. When you get one of these kits, it has everything in there for them. The little tiny hooks, the weights, bobbers, and everything. So, and there's
all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there's a reason why we use bobbers as a kid. You can see, you can see what's happening. We all grew up using a bobber. Use a bobber. The kids can watch it. They see the bite. They can make, you know, they react to it. It's good for saltwater fishing. And, you know, and once the kids get old enough to go wading, you know, 8, 9, you know your kid better than me, 8, 9, 10 years old. Once they get in the water, they can see all kinds of stuff. Once you get a kid wade fishing, he's going to be stuck. I mean, if you can get over, some kids are a little, you know, a little scared to get into the water, but once you get them in there.
What about lures, though?
I like to use things that are pretty much cast and reel back.
Okay.
You know, you don't want any kind of finesse lures. Anything with a paddle tail, a jig head with a curly tail, or a paddle tail, the little Bass Assassin curly tail jig. Everything eats that, you know, once you're starting to use. And plus, it's a single hook. You know, it's not a big bait with treble hooks on it. Once you get up to treble hooks, you know, you might want to throw a Chopo, because again, it's a topwater bait that I don't have to walk the dog with. I can just throw it out there, zip it,
cast and retrieve,
zip it, roll it, you know, and easy peasy. You know, you want the stuff to just be easy.
Keep it simple.
Correct.
Basics, lots of snacks. Always have snacks.
Yep.
Hey, if you go to the captain, remember your captain too. He likes snacks.
Oh yeah, captains always love snacks.
Thanks, Dave. Great job, buddy.
Something else that y'all didn't mention is get your kids in a fish camp. Look up your local fish camps, because sometimes they have more fun when there's other kids around. And
Can't have a sword fight by yourself.
You might not be patient, but the fish camp guides are. All right, moving into the Fish Bites Upper Coast region, Captain Carl Weston knows how to keep those youngins happy on board for a day on the water. So let's get him on the line. Talk to us, Carl.
Hey guys and ladies. Yeah, we're going to give a little shout out to our younger anglers this week. You know, kids are so much fun to fish with. They're fun to take fishing. Just the look on their face when they hook up is worth, you know, a million words. And they are truly the future of our sport. You know, we try to keep the days shorter, plenty of cold drinks, like you guys just said, snacks on board, sunblock, sunglasses, definitely a life jacket that fits them very well so they're not uncomfortable and itchy. Our younger crew seems to be in love with the new that Taco Marine shade fin as well, especially when they try to take a nap. Our girls fish with us as much as they can, and guys, it's a true treat every time we have these little girls offshore. Like I say, it's a lot of fun, and it's good, clean family fun. Keep them hydrated. It makes great memories with these little guys. And anyway, so let's move over to trout. You know, we've had some really nice sized trout showing up on the beaches here in the Upper Coast. And with this being Kids Week, this is really a great place to start young anglers fishing. You're casting, say, a single bottom rig tipped with cut bait or a chunk of fish bites will really get you in the bite. Live bait is working as well, and top waters, they've all been producing some really nice blow-ups early in the morning down on the beachfront. The inshore bite is on fire this week as well. The smaller trout are inside, chasing bait around those oyster reefs in the middle of Galveston Bay right now. As always, shrimp on a popping cork or a small live croaker is really hard to beat right now. Berkeley and Mirror make great topwater lures that is fun to, hard to beat and a lot of fun to throw to these right now. As that water continues to clear up, remember to use a little fluorocarbon leader. Diamond is what I like to use just to get these fish, keep them aggressive. Don't make them leader shy. Today we have a picture of little Mr. Mason with his first trout.
My goodness.
That's awesome.
He may have his shoes on backwards, but he's starting early.
He is so cute. Oh, my heart just broke. All right, so, moving on.
And then moving right on to bull reds, they're running a little deeper in those inshore potholes. They're back out on the beachfront, just as we're talking about the trout. Mouth of the jetties, edge of the channel. They've been holding shad and mullet, and these big reds are smashing it all over. This is where you're going to want to fish. The seagulls and pelicans will definitely show you the way lately on these calmer days. Take a look at that GARMIN bottom machine. You'll mark these fish scattered among the bait. You'll see the big marks. You can just anchor up. It's a great way we do out at the jetties or drift, depending on how much room you have to fish. But if you're going to anchor, stay at the edge of the channel. Don't anchor in the middle. We all know that's not safe practice. And we rigged with about a 3-foot piece of 80-pound diamond leader, an 8-ounce egg sinker, tie an 8 to 9 aught trocar hook on the bait. It's tied up, baited up. Live shad is my favorite. You can add a chum bag to the mix. It'll speed up the bite and your catch on both sharks and reds. JT over at In the Zone Charter, he's been picking up a few kings in the mix as well. Guys, we have a picture here today of Colton with a nice bull red. Happy belated birthday to him. Great catch.
Very nice.
Go Colton.
And quickly tell us about the offshore.
Well, running offshore this week, it's been a little choppy, but fishing is still good. We have lots of weed lines, gas scattered from the 10 all the way out to the 100-mile mark. There's bait all over right now. This is a good thing and a bad thing, as you know. The fish stay scattered when we have a lot of scattered grass. It's hard to get them grouped up. But if you look and find the bigger pieces, the bigger mats, I'm using my Serious Marine fish mapping right now to find the bigger mats, and I'm running right to them. And it also keeps you this time of year ahead of the weather. But Dorado have been good this week all along those weed lines. We've been catching lings, smaller wahoo. We're trolling feather lures like the R&R Mahi Magnet or a naked or rigged ballyho. It works really well. The snapper bite is a little slow, but the fish are getting bigger, guys. The king bite is starting to pick up. They're scattered, but these warm offshore temps, they're everywhere. And the shrimp boat's moving in this week. We should have a lot of fun chasing bonita and sharks and everything back there. Got a picture today of JT bringing a kingfish over the side.
Nice one. Well, thanks, Carl. That's a fantastic report. I will take your R&R tackle hotspots for the Upper Coast region from here. Carl says, trout fishing on the beachfront. You want to cast a single bottom rig tipped with a cut bait or a chunk of fish bites. And offshore, troll the current breaks and weed lines with an R&R Mahi Magnet or a rigged ballyho.
We're always talking about fish bites on this show, but especially for kids.
Yeah.
Anything tipped with fish bites.
They can't cast them off as easily.
Exactly. They can't whip them up, smack the water with them, whip them, fling them, whatever.
And
it stays on.
They're relatively puffer proof. So if they get the puffer bite, their shrimp isn't ruined and gone.
Bite?
Yeah, they can still catch something with it.
Fish bites for kids, absolutely. All right, the lower coast and upper fresh regions are sharing the summertime school's out kind of feeling up next. So make sure you grab those snacks and your fish bites and sit tight. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Island Lures, Tournament Tackle. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Sirius XM Marine, weather, fish mapping, entertainment. Shallow Sport, Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Penn, let the battle begin.
For more than 36 years, Ameritrail has manufactured trailers for all types of boats. Whether it's a single-axle trailer for a 16-foot skiff or a mammoth quad-axle trailer for a 50-foot-plus catamaran, Ameritrail has the knowledge, manpower, and facilities to do the job right the first time, all customized to the customer's needs and the specifications of the boat. All of this is possible through a major expansion of Ameritrail's production capabilities. In 2022, Scott Locke took his company from a 31,000 square foot facility in St. Cloud, Florida, and tripled that space in a state-of-the-art production facility in Harmony, Florida. Made in the USA, Ameritrail trailers begin their build in-house with the engineering team. This digital roadmap makes sure that the trailer and its cargo is protected on the road and off by never taking shortcuts. Every boat trailer features all aluminum construction, whether it's with heavy I-beams or Ameritrail's proprietary soft edge channels. Other standard features include fixed welded bunks perfectly fitted to your mono, step, or catamaran hull, torsion axles with a 5- and 7-year no-touch grease feature, welded in or bolted cross members, all LED lighting, heavy fender bracing, and much more. Every day, Ameritrail's 100-plus employees are hard at work, fashioning premier materials into quality workmanship as they craft each and every trailer. This pride in detail goes all the way down into the wiring. Ameritrail innovated the practice of grounding all wiring to the tow vehicle wiring harness instead of the trailer frame. With the recent production expansion, Ameritrail has solidified itself as the industry leader and continued to be innovators. Even though Ameritrail sells most of its trailers to boat manufacturers and dealers, the end user is always in mind. Ameritrail prides itself when ending a great day on the water with a perfect loading trailer and a safe trip home. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax.
You know, Brie, Ameritrail trailers are, for years, been just industry, the bar setter in the industry. Right. If you have an older trailer and you have a boat that's on it and you want to upgrade, they can build one to custom fit the hull of your boat. So it doesn't matter what kind of boat you have, right. Ameritrail can make something specifically glove fit for your boat.
Awesome. Yeah, they're top of the line for sure. Yeah. All right, if you've been fishing since you were little, you know just how special those moments can be, and Captain Chad Kinney knows it all too well in the Lower Coast region. So Chad, where should we be taking the tots?
You got that right. It was a sign of an ill-spent childhood. I've spent all my time fishing and a little dock rat. So we're going over here looking at the weekend. It looks really good for the weather. Coming up here, just for a note, guys, not this weekend, but next weekend, August 5th, we TIP tournament. That's a big tournament, bay and offshore, kid-friendly, great deal out of South Padre Island. So talking about kid fishing, which I really love doing this stuff. I love taking families. I get people calling me up all the time. I'm like, man, I love doing this stuff, have a passion for it, besides the fishing part. But taking the kids is really, you know, we all normally start from. A lot of people don't figure that out till later in life, and they figure out, shoot, what the heck was I missing? And they enjoy it. So take your kids out there and enjoy that stuff. I started out, as I mentioned, started off the banks fishing and just always wanted to hopefully get a boat someday. And now I run all the bays. Thank God it's, you know, shallow sport boats. And I fish all the offshore areas. I've traveled all over fishing, which is good. And, you know, poured out of here and had the marina at Port Mansfield. But start the kids young. And the main thing is always tell the parents, you know, I've got 3 kids, so I know this stuff. Keep them interested, you know, not just in the fishing, but with Mother Nature, everything around, sand dunes, water, crabs, the fishing aspects, crab traps, you know, and catch plenty of pinfish maybe starting out with them. Fun off the banks, anything that keeps the pole going, keeps them moving, you know, as they're really going up. And then then move on older, maybe move to the trout, redfish, flounder. In my case, my dad threw me out there real early in the deep sea, fishing the Gulf, and I was running an offshore boat when I was like 12, 13, which they'd call CPS I now. But fishing is definitely a special event outdoor there. So, guys, if you can, get out there, enjoy the family, enjoy the outdoors. Take the kids out there, whether it's on the lakes, beach, fishing. Call one of our guides, and they'll take care of you really good. Got a cool picture. My cousin just sent me this before the theme came out. And it's a picture of my dad, who's no longer with us, but he's up there fishing somewhere. But it's my cousin and my dad from the mid-50s. So my dad took me fishing all the time on the bank, so there's a cool picture. So
that is awesome.
The kids fishing. So moving to offshore. Offshore is really freaking taking off. It's really good. Upcoming months should be even better. I just got back from the jetties today, and it was like 74 water degree temp, which actually is pretty cold right now. But it's warmer. We got good bill fishing weather out there at 82 deeper. But we've got more species coming near shore out as the months come on, and out to the floater rigs and on the lower coast here is really turning on. State and federal water snapper season remains open. It's been really good. The bite's on. Once you might out there, you might come across some mangrove snapper. They're not too common, but they're going to be hanging around structure, oil rigs, a lot of CCA reefs and stuff like that. But these guys will come up in your chum line real close to the boat, but they get kind of leader shy really quick. So use a lighter line. We'll use a 30-pound Mamoy tied directly, which is basically on our spool of our Penn Warfares, and we'll just tie direct with a little Eagle Claw small live bait hook, like 3 to 4 and just make sure that this is to keep your bait flowing in the water. Pitch it out there, get the chum, but keep your bait flowing with it. Let the hook kind of slowly go down there. When the fish hits, let them run 10, 20 feet, and then slowly set the hook up, and they're going to put up a really good fight, and they are good eating like that. So I got a picture here of one of our clients with a monster mangrove. This thing was at 12 pounds.
Big boy.
So it's a good one. So moving over to Dorado, we haven't been talking about a bunch of Dorado, but the Dorado are starting to show up. That water's coming in, like I mentioned. So hit some smaller weed lines or bigger weed lines if you can find, but we've been finding a few smaller scattered stuff. Definitely some structure, rigs behind shrimp boats. The blue water's coming in, like I mentioned. So look for weed lines or anything else behind these shrimp boats for best action. We're catching them on the troll with a smaller islander rig with a ballyhoo, or definitely you can try some chumming also, the same style we're talking about, like pitch it out there with a free line, let it flow. You can use a Penn spin fisher for this if you want to. And the 30-pound works really good, the Mamoy, and just Eagle Claw 5 to 7 out, maybe upsize your hook on these guys on a live bait hook, and you can see them kind of hit behind the boat sometimes with them running land. So we've got a picture, not a monster one, we've got about a 15-pound Dorado here that we got here locally.
Very nice.
And then moving over to the Wahoo bite. The Wahoo bite, I've been talking about for a little bit. It usually doesn't last as long, but I think through the cooler water, I think they're hanging around longer. So the structure, oil rigs, try 150 foot out and deeper, especially fishing those deeper shrimp boats. Make sure don't hit those 110, 120 foot shrimp boats. Try at least 150 or deeper, maybe 200, 250 deeper, the better. Troll those mirror lure divers with wire. These guys are really toothy, so tie some wire to them or some heavier mono. But rig this with an islander lure, rig with a ballyhoo. And good tackle on this stuff. We're using 16 wide to 30 wide Penn Internationals stand-ups. Okay. We're putting 30 to 40 pound Mamoy spooled up on these things. And when these fish hit, they're going to make their big, hard runs. So just keep that line tight and just let them run. And remember, once you start boating these guys, they're really toothy, so get guys cleared off the deck and make sure everything going there. Once you get everything cleared and the fish is boated and everything, check all your baits, check your wire even, check your mono, make sure there's no nicks or chafe or anything else like that, and put your baits back out so you're in good shape for the next hit.
And you've got a picture for us?
Of a nice, solid 55-pound wahoo here. We just landed on a 16-wide Penn stand-up.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Get it.
Thank you very much, Chad. Here are the shallow sport hotspots for the Lower Coast region. Chad says the redfish bite has been good on the Lower Coast jetties and also on the flats in 2 feet of water, and then falling out to the deeper water as the day goes on and it gets hotter out there. And then offshore, the bite is wide open. Red snapper on the bottom structures, wahoo, Dorado on the troll, and like he was saying, a little bit deeper and you can get some of those billfish.
All right, well, the upper fresh region is full of future memories to make with youth anglers. So let's see what our guide, Mac McFarlane, has to say about them. Let's hear it, Mike.
Hey guys, let's talk about the kids first, and we'll tell you some good fishing out here in this upper region. So kids fishing, I love kids. Who doesn't? Fishing is a sport really that all ages these days and genders can enjoy. One of my most favorite guide trips, to be honest with you, is father and son, father and daughter, or even mother and son, or mother and daughter. There always seems to be some kind of special moment that will take place, and just a memory that is made. I really truly believe that taking a kid fishing can even be more valuable than a day in school these days. Spending quality one-on-one time with the youth, teaching about fish species, fish techniques, just the outdoors in general can really be of great value. Honestly, even just a break from the high pace of today's society and the craze of social media world we live in, that certainly can't hurt. There's many places to go fishing today that do not require a great deal of experience, equipment, travel, money, or even a boat. Local public parks with ponds, they can be a great place to start. You have a lot of brim, catfish, trout, and bass that the Texas parks are really good about keeping stocked. They're usually present in those lakes, especially in the public parks and recreational ponds. Again, if you've never really gone fishing before or anything, it's simple to start there. Start small, go from there. There's also clubs. There's a lot of youth clubs these days and fishing classes via Bass Pro Shops, etc., that you can attend to learn more, make new friends, and actually meet other fishing anglers looking to learn just like yourself.
Cool. Well, tell us about the largemouth.
You won't regret it. Let's tell you about the largemouth bass on Lake Fork. Lake's getting lower and lower all the time. It's 7 foot below pool. Our temperature ranging between 86 and 93. Water visibility, clarity is about 1 to 2 foot. Due to the last week's cooling trend, the bass really kind of changed, and they're very shallow. It's really strange for this time of year. But most of the fish are being caught early morning hours in less than 10 feet of water. Top waters like the Berkeley, El Chapo, white buzzbaits, shaky head rigs with big worms, those are your best bets. Best colors for the worms are watermelon candy, plum, and black magic. The midday bite is really, really slow. I just suggest you go in for a good break, take a break, come back out, because the evening bite tends to pick back up around 5 in the evening, the last 2 hours generally. For the evening bite, you really want to actually fish a little deeper. Water's warmed up through the day, so those fish do go back down deep. 16 to 20 feet seems to be the key, and pretty much football jigs, shaky heads with big worms, and green pumpkin colors. Let's move on to bass fishing on Lake Tawakoni. Tawakoni still has a decent frog bite early and late. There's an occasional swim bite also happening around the lily pads. Once that sun gets up high, move to the rip-rack rock piles and docks 10 feet deep and throw shaky heads, Texas rigs, and jigs in green pumpkin and watermelon colors. Always be sure to dip the tail chartreuse in a spike-it dip. Athens bass fishing with Lake guide Jay Bonner. Jay's a great guy. He says the water temperatures there are 86 to 9 degrees, and the bass have really slowed down a lot. He said you can still watch for the schooling fish offshore, have a top water handy or a small swim bait in shad patterns, and really just look for the busting surface. Doesn't last long, but if you chase them around a little bit, you can still catch offshore fish. Also try the outside grass lines, points, pumps with jigs, sea rigs, which is Carolina rig, and crankbaits. Lake Lavon bass. Bass fishing early morning top water bite is good. Again, the El Chapo and buzzbaits. Later in the day, go to the 10 to 20 foot brush, timber, and rocks. Always remember windblown stuff. Windblown timber, riprap are your best. And again, there's that Carolina rig, Texas rig, crankbaits, and swim jigs that come into play. I'd like to get you to some crappie fishing. Crappie with Jackie Wiggins on Lake Fork is excellent. The crappie are super stacked up in laydowns, but very finicky. You have to try spots and move until you find some fish that will bite, and also seeing good numbers of crappie on the brush and summer trees in 13 to 23 feet. Minnows are still the dominant bait. Here are some really big old Lake Fork slabs that were caught recently with Jackie Wiggins.
Well, tell us quickly about Tawakoni.
Tawakoni stripers. Tawakoni stripers are pretty good. The water temperature is 84 in Main Lake, 3 feet low. Lots of schooling action early and late. The hybrid and sand bass especially. Small slabs are best, but there's some great topwater action down south at daybreak on Sand Point. And here, honestly, Matt Cartwright really found some giant stripers. So here's a couple pictures of some massive, massive Lake Tawakoni stripers.
Woo.
Mr. Cartwright killing it.
I tell you what, look at that thing.
Nice.
Well, thanks, Mike. Here are the hot spot for the upper fresh region. God, look at that fish.
I know. Beautiful.
Lake Tawakoni stripers, hybrids, and white bass seem to be the best thing going in the Northeast Texas region right now. Morning topwater action is producing large stripers. Once the sun gets up high, move offshore and use small 1/2 to 1 ounce slab spoons fished over the humps and ridges around the balls of bait.
All right, well, we're hanging on tight to those last summer days and one more guide in the GARMIN Middle Coast region coming up. But first, Dave is showing us some kid-inspired new products at the workbench.
We got a few, like this little rod and reel here. Perfect sword fighting stuff.
Nice colors.
Yeah.
Like the colors. We'll be back.
Love it.
Won't hurt that bad if I hit you with it.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miralure. Abu Garcia. Fish to win. Ameritrail. Load. Launch. Relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. R&R Tackle. From our tackle box to yours. And STARTRON. Start, run, and store with STARTRON.
The POWERPOLE anchor is an awesome tool while out on the water. Over the last 20 years, I would not have caught nearly as many fish without a POWERPOLE on the back of my boat. One of the biggest reasons a POWERPOLE helps you catch more fish is what happens as soon as you hook a fish. I always have my key fob in my hand while I'm fishing. That way, as soon as I hook up, I can double tap the down button and automatically deploy the anchors. This allows me time to fight the fish, land the fish, take a photo, and release the fish without drifting into the spot and ruin where that fish was holding. I have found that that fish was there for a reason. Whether it was structure, wind, current, or something, it was holding that fish in that general area. Most of the time, I can fire my next cast right into the same spot and catch more fish. Sometimes I like to change the lures, fan cast the area, and really work that spot where I caught the first fish. I then like to pick up the power poles just a bit and glide 20 to 30 feet forward, redeploy the power poles, and really work that area thoroughly. Doing this will increase your catches dramatically, and that's your power pole tip.
Well, we're at Dave's workbench again with the Taco Marine new product segment. And Dave, I tell you, you got a lot of things here that that kids really can enjoy.
Well, we got the first off there. At least two of them are the Pure Fishing Combo Spin Cast there, the Shakespeare Jellyfish Spin Cast Combo. You know, a spin cast reel is a little reel that you can push a button on the back and hold it down and then let her fly, you know, and let go when you want to let go. It's pretty easy for most kids to figure out pretty quick. This is a two-piece rod, and what's cool about it is it's connected by a little bungee, which, you know, they didn't have when I was a kid, so most of my two-piece rods became one-piece rods pretty quick.
And very short.
Yeah, I would lose pieces, and, you know, but that's really cool that these are connected by a bungee. It's a medium power. It's got ceramic guides on it. Yeah. It's got the unique jellyfish grips on there, which kind of squish and mold to your hand. It's pretty squishy. Anyway, it's kind of weird. And they have two different colors, and they're spooled with 6-pound test line, you know, to get the Shakespeare, the jellyfish. The other one there is for the smaller kids. That one's for 8 and up. And this is a smaller kid one. You know, this is a 4-foot 6-inch rod, and it's a two-piece. Also with the 6-pound test line. Again, it has a little spin cast, but it comes with a spinner. They have spinning reels as well on both of these. So you can choose between, you know, once the kid grows up a little bit, or he decides he's ready for a spinning rod versus the spin cast.
Versus a sword. Right,
exactly. You know, when you buy these, you know, just make sure you realize that these things aren't going to last forever. You know, these are made to pretty much be destroyed by small children.
They're training tools.
Exactly. Go to purefishing.com and pick you some of those up. Next, we have some Saltwater Assassins new colors. We got the 5-inch shad there with an 8 count. You know, these come with an 8 count. I really like the shad a lot because they're a natural bait fish profile, and they have that long straight tail that helps it glide, you know, back and forth. When you, especially if you put it on a weighted hook, it'll really jerk and glide. And when it stops, it quivers. That little tail, that long little tail, will just sit there and quiver. It's just a really great bait. It's got a really nice belly slot. But anyway, we're talking about the colors here. We got the Watermelon Magic. That one actually is the electric shiner you have in your hand. And the Watermelon Magic from BassAssassin.com. Anything will eat those trouts, reds.
I've been using this new electric shiner color lately.
I love that color, man. I really do.
In the sea shad version.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised at how many mangrove snapper that I've caught. We don't normally get those in my Central East region of Florida. And this color combination for that particular species in that water is a winner.
Yeah, so everything I've thrown that thing at
might work in the Texas.
It's been eaten
for the Texas guys too. It should work great.
Yeah, go to BassAssassin.com to get you one of those. Next, we have a dry bag from Caddy Can. This is a 10.5 quart PVC tarp can. It's completely waterproof when you roll it up. You know, so it's got big buckles on it. You know, big heavy duty buckles. So when you roll that thing down and close up the buckles, it's not gonna come apart on you. It's got really good security. And again, it's totally waterproof. It's got an adjustable shoulder strap on there, and you know, holds enough stuff to go to the beach. You can go to caddycam.com and get you one of those.
You know what these really work good for?
What's that?
Putting sandwiches in.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
The kids, and then you can throw the whole thing in the cooler. Because the kids digging around will get your sandwich wet in the cooler. Yeah. So something like this is a great idea for sandwiches.
It will. Next, last but not least, we got the R&R Tackle Chum Cage. It's 14 by 6 by 9. It's collapsible. It collapses all the way down to just flat, like this thing right here. You can put it together in like 10 seconds. I mean, it's really easy. Holds a 7-pound chum block, and you put some weights in it and put it all the way down to the bottom, or you can just hang it off the side of the boat like a regular chum bag. but go to R&R Tackle and get you one of those things. Anything made by Ray Rocher's really well made. So
I love this thing. It burns through chum. If you're trying to make a heavy slick, this is the way to make a heavy slick. You'll pull everything in the ocean behind the boat.
There you go.
Great job, Dave. Thanks for the great new products. Let's go see where we're going next. What are we doing, Brie?
All right, well, the Garmin Middle Coast region has been producing a ton of youth anglers this summer, and with just a sliver of summer left, Captain Bink Grimes is telling us where we can get them those last bites. Go for it, Bink.
There's been a lot of kids on my boat in the month of July. School begins earlier and earlier every year, and if you're an athlete or football, volleyball player, begins less than a week from now, so there's just a little bit more fishing time for summer. With the kids, it's all about keeping everyone engaged, target a species with consistent action. Kids really don't care. Lately, I've targeted areas with lots of sand trout, so there's been a lot of bent rods. Fishing camps have become popular for the kids, much like sports camps or church camps. Kids stay overnight, fish during the day. The Hook Spit Junior Angler Camp loads these kids up on a bus, drops them off at the harbor with willing guides that are, wanting to take them and show them a day out of fishing. They have little tournaments that's been real popular in Matagorda lately. So it's great to get the kids out. In Rockport area, we'll go to trout. Our Rhett Price of the trout's been in shallow water early morning, despite the boiling temps. He's been tossing the new Mirror Lure Custom Double D's in the gringo and pearl color. He says artificials have outfished live bait here lately. And in Freeport, the Jay's been best for the bite on live shrimp. Many of the bays around the area are foot low, so the mouth of the bayous leading to San Luis Pass have held lots of trout on live shrimp and soft plastics. The surf from San Padre to Surfside has been emerald. We're looking for southeast winds this week, so we're hoping that it'll green up a little bit more. In East Matagorda Bay, the cuts and guts along the north shoreline have held good trout. The bay has been off-colored with southwest winds, but water in the ICW has remained green, so on the incoming tide, that north shoreline has been getting all that nice green water coming in from the ditch. We've been throwing Mirror Lure Little John and Bass Assassin Sea Shad. And then in Port O'Connor, guy Lynn Smith, he's been working the deep gut around Pascaval. That bite's been early again. We're getting out early, way before sunrise, and getting that good bite on the incoming tide. The old Coast Guard station, Army Hole, are holding good trout with this low tide. There's lots of trout tight to the rocks at the jetty as well. Best on live shrimp and mirror lures. Some guys are walking the rocks at sunrise and tossing topwaters for those larger trout. Redfish action on the lower the tides, the redfish are in the same spots they are during the winter. Good catches will come Mitchell's Cut and Sargent while tossing pogies. Anglers are catching pogies with a cast net and fishing them whole or cutting them up, and then Carolina rigging them on a kale hook. The same's playing out. The Matagorda jetty incoming tide's been best. There's lots of flat-sized reds along with a few bull reds roaming the rocks. There's a lot of pogies along the beach right now. You toss in a cast net, you get a live well full of them. Schools of reds are circling the middle of the bay because there's not enough water on the shorelines. A lot of those reds are still, they've been slicking all of July in the middle of East Matagorda Bay. The tide falls where all that 2 foot of water comes off the shoreline. These fish just drop right off into 5 foot of water at best on live shrimp under mid-coast popping cork. There's a photo that a redfish, we found him behind a slick, drifting behind a slick in East Matagorda Bay in about 5 foot of water. You'll hit a school and, man, just all the rods will go down. Offshore, Michael Quebec said the kingfish are inside of the beach. Many offshore captains said the kings are better. We got a lot of shrimp on the beach, and there's a lot of shrimp boats out there with the Gulf season open. And a lot of those shrimp boats are culling their catch and throwing overboard, and a lot of those kingfish are right behind those boats. And if you troll right behind as well, you'll get them. There's a lot of shrimp in the Gulf with the recent reopenings, and they're getting those big 6-8 count shrimp. They're just beautiful, beautiful to eat. There are also wahoo all over the weed lines from Freeport to Port Aransas, Dorado, triple tail, on squid, sardine, mullet, sand trout. Tarpon been showing just off the beach in 20 to 40 foot of water. Some have come within the side of the Port O'Connor jetty, but best have been on mullet, pogies, and coon pops. So we're hoping for another return to southeast winds in the Garmin Middle Coast region. Please continue to be good stewards of our bay and beaches, and please release more than you take. And here's hoping for
for that sweet, sweet southeast and emerald green waters.
Well, let's hope so, Bink. Well, here are the Mirror hot spots for the Middle Coast region. Bink says trout are good while waiting with bass assassins over sand and grass in Port O'Connor, and the redfish are good at the Freeport Jetty on pogies and large table shrimp.
All right, gentlemen. Well, you know, the kids are out there fishing. We've just got a little bit of summer left. I think we did a good job. Summer goes by super quick. But you know, we were all at ICAST recently, and we have some exciting announcements from some of our sponsors. So VIEJA won Best of Category in sunglasses.
Very nice.
Pier Fishing won 9 awards. Wow. I can't even go through all of them. Wow. We don't have time. AFCO won 2. One for their Reaper. 4 actually. The Reaper. We just want to say congrats. It was a super fun time.
Yeah.
Thanks
job,
for tuning
guys.
in. Good job.
Keep making great products.
We'll see you next week. Bye.